The greatest warrior of his age dropped his bow in the middle of a battlefield. Kurukshetra was supposed to be the final answer to a conflict that had been building for years. The Pandavas had already lost their kingdom in a rigged dice game. They had been humiliated in public, sent into exile, and forced to spend 13 years waiting for justice. When that exile ended, they still tried to avoid war. They did not ask for half the kingdom back. They asked for 5 villages. The Kauravas refused. Krishna himself went as a peace envoy and warned the Kaurava court that a war between these families would destroy everything. They laughed at him. By the time both armies gathered at Kurukshetra, there was no peaceful solution left. The battlefield was enormous. Chariots stretched across the horizon. War elephants stood in formation. Conch shells echoed through the air. Every major king and warrior in India had chosen a side. Arjuna stood at the center of it all. He was the Pandavas' greatest warrior, the finest archer of his generation, a man who had defeated kings, monsters, and celestial beings. He had spent his entire life preparing for a moment exactly like this. As the armies prepared to charge, Arjuna turned to Krishna, who was serving as his charioteer. He asked him to drive into the space between the two armies. At first, it seemed like a practical request. A commander would naturally want to study the other side before the battle began. But when Krishna brought the chariot forward, Arjuna saw something completely different. He saw Bhishma, the grandfather who had helped raise him. He saw Drona, the teacher who had taught him how to fight. He saw cousins he had grown up with, friends from childhood, uncles, brothers, nephews, and sons. The battle stopped feeling distant and heroic. It became personal. Arjuna suddenly understood what victory would actually look like. Even if he won, the people he cared about would be dead. The family gatherings, the teachers who shaped him, the people who had been part of his entire life would all be gone. His body started to fail him. He says his mouth went dry, his hands trembled, his skin burned, his famous bow, the Gandiva, slipped from his fingers. Then he looked at Krishna and admitted something he never thought he would say. He said he could not do it. He could not bring himself to kill his own family for a kingdom. He could not see how any victory could possibly be worth this kind of cost. Then Arjuna sat down in the chariot and refused to fight. That moment is what makes the Gita so powerful. Arjuna is afraid of what he will become if he goes through with this. He is facing the kind of decision that people still face all the time. The relationship you know is over, even though ending it will hurt. The career you know you need to leave. The difficult conversation you keep postponing. The choice that feels necessary and unbearable at the same time. People freeze when they can see the consequences of their choices too clearly. Krishna listens to Arjuna speak through all of his fear, grief, and confusion. He does not interrupt him or dismiss what he is feeling. He waits until Arjuna finally says, "I am your student. Tell me what to do." That is when Krishna begins. He tells Arjuna that the soul cannot be destroyed. Bodies die, relationships change, empires rise and collapse, but the deepest part of a person survives all of it. Krishna says that the body is like clothing. You wear it for a while and then you move on to something new. Krishna's most important teaching is about action. He tells Arjuna, "You have a right to perform your duty, but not to the fruits of your actions." Arjuna is trapped because he is trying to carry the entire future on his shoulders before the battle has even started. He is imagining the grief, the destruction, the guilt, and the consequences all at once. Krishna brings him back to the present. You can control your effort. You can control your choices. You can control whether you act with integrity. You cannot control every possible outcome. You cannot control how people react. You cannot control whether life unfolds exactly the way you want it to. Krishna's point is that people suffer when they become obsessed with controlling results that were never fully in their hands to begin with. That obsession creates fear. It creates hesitation. Arjuna wanted a version of duty that did not involve pain, guilt, or sacrifice. Krishna tells him that version does not exist. Sometimes doing the right thing feels terrible. Sometimes your hands shake, sometimes you cry. But avoiding the decision does not protect you from pain, it only leaves you trapped. That is why the lessons of the Gita have lasted for thousands of years. It is a story about pressure, responsibility, and the moments in life when you know exactly what you have to do, but still cannot bring yourself to do it.